Hello students, I hope you all are doing good. So today we are going to discuss NCERT exercise of chapter electromagnetic waves. So this is the disclaimer. So far we have discussed all the theory section of the electromagnetic waves. So today I am going to discuss NCERT exercise with you. So after this lecture you will be able to calculate various parameters of electromagnetic waves like wavelength, frequency, electric field and magnetic field amplitudes. Find the magnetic field at any radial distance from the axis between the capacitor plates. So index, there are total 10 NCERT exercise questions in chapter electromagnetic waves. In this lecture, we are going to cover all of these questions 8.1 to 8.10. So let's begin with first question, that is, consider a capacitor made of two circular plates, each of radius 12 centimeter. So there is a parallel plate capacitor and plates of capacitor are circular. Each plate have radius 12 centimeter and separated by 5 centimeter. The capacitor is being charged by an external source, not shown in the figure. The charging current is constant. So the current that is charging the capacitor is constant. Capacitor is being charged, okay, and the charging current is constant and is equal to 0.15 ampere. Means we are not charging the current with AC current. Okay, it is not sure that we are using AC current because charging current is constant. So A part is calculate the capacitance and the rate of change of potential difference between the plates, means dV by dt. Rate of change of potential difference between the plates. So charge is being stored on the capacitor, so potential difference will be created across the capacitor. So because it is being charged, so charges on the plate are starting accumulating on the capacitor, due to which potential across the plates of the capacitor is changing with respect to time. So you have to find this and also calculate the capacitance. B part is obtain the displacement current across the plates. And C part is Kirchhoff's first rule, that is junction rule, valid at each plate of the capacitor? Explain. So I will give you some time to think about it. So let's begin with the solution. So figure 8.5. So parallel plates of capacitor are being shown. They are circular. Okay, and source is not shown in the figure. So what is given in the question? Radius of each circular plate are equal to 12 centimeter, which is equal to 12 into 10 to the power minus 2 meter. Distance between the plates is given, d equal to 5 centimeter. Why distance and radius is given? It is given to calculate the capacitance of the capacitor. Okay. So d equal to 5 centimeter, 5 into 10 to the power minus 2 meter. Charging current I equal to 0.15 ampere. Permittivity of free space epsilon naught is equal to 8.85 into 10 to the power minus 12 coulomb square per Newton meter square. Now we will calculate the area of the plates of the capacitor to calculate its capacitance. So capacitance between the two plates is given by the relation So we know that how we can find the capacitance of parallel capacitor, C equal to A epsilon naught upon D, according to NCERT question 2.43, where A is the area of the plates and D is the distance between the plates. Since plates are circular, A equal to pi r square. Okay, plates are circular, it is given in the question. So area A will be equal to pi r square. R is given 12 centimeter, that is 12 into 10 raised power minus 2 meter. Okay, so we can find the area. So C is equal to epsilon naught pi r square upon D. Okay, so put the values of R and D, epsilon naught and pi to find the capacitance of the capacitor. So C is equal to epsilon naught pi r square by D. So substituting the values, R equal to 12 into 10 raised power minus 12 meter, D equal to 5 into 10 raised power minus 12 meter. Sorry, R equal to 12 into 10 raised power minus 2 meter and D equal to 5 into 10 raised power minus 2 meter. C is equal to 8.85 into 10 raised power minus 12 into 3.14. What is radius? 12 into 10 raised power minus 2 square upon 5 into 10 raised power minus 2. C equal to 8.85 into 10 raised power minus 12 minus 4 plus 2. We have combined all the powers of 10. Okay, into 10 is 3.14 into 144 by 5. So after solving this is calculation part, you can do it. Okay, so C equal to 8.85 into 10 raised power minus 12 minus 4 plus 2 into 3.14 into 144 upon 5. And C came out to be 4001.616 into 10 raised power minus 14 upon 5. C is equal to 8.0032 into 10 raised power minus 12 farad. So C is approximately equal to 8 picofarad. 10 raised power minus 12 is known as pico. So capacitance is approximately equal to 8 picofarad. Hence capacitance of the given capacitor is 8 picofarad. We have calculated. Next, to find the rate of change of potential difference between the plates, that means dV by dt. So we know that charge on each, at any instant, charge on the capacitor on each plate is given by Q equal to CV. Okay, we know that. When we have discussed about the capacitor topic in electrostatic, we know that charge on each plate and at any instant is given by Q equal to CV. Now we will differentiate this expression on both sides. So C is constant, so it will not get differentiated. It will come out of the differentiation. So where V is the potential difference across the plates. So differentiating both sides with respect to time t gives dq by dt equal to dcv by dt. So C is constant, it will come out of the derivative. So it will become C into dv by dt. So we have to find the dv by dt. It is asked rate of change of potential difference between the plates. So dv by dt is to be found. Okay, so dv by dt will be equal to 1 by C dq by dt. So dv by dt equal to 1 by C dq by dt. Now we'll put the value of C which is given in the question. Oh, sorry, we have calculated it, which came out to be approximately equal to 8 picofarad. And dq by dt is current, which is given as constant, which is equal to 0.15 ampere. Okay, so dv by dt is equal to 1 by C dq by dt. Since dq by dt is equal to current, we know that rate of flow of charges with respect to time through any cross section held perpendicular to it is known as current. So dq by dt is equal to current I. So dv by dt is equal to I upon C. Okay, put the values of I 0.15 and C 8 picofarad. You will get the rate of change of potential difference. So dv by dt is equal to I by C. So given that charging current is constant, that is I equal to 0.15 ampere, dv by dt is equal to 0.15 upon 8 into 10 to the power minus 12, that is 8 picofarad. So dv by dt is equal to 1.87 into 10 to the power 10 volt per second. So rate of change of potential difference with respect to time is huge. It is of order of 10 to the power 10. Okay, huge value. B part. Since the capacitor is being charged, the displacement current across the plates will be same as the conduction current. Okay, so in the case of charging of capacitor, or if we have connected capacitor with the AC source in which current is changing, okay, due to which charge on the capacitor plates will be changing as conduction current is changing with respect to time, due to which electric field between the plates of the capacitor is changing with respect to time, due to which displacement current is generated. Okay, also in the case of DC source, if capacitor is being charged, that means charges that are accumulating on the plates is increasing. Capacitor is being charged, so electric field between the plates of the capacitor is increasing with respect to time, due to which displacement current is there. If capacitor is fully charged, then there will not be any displacement current. Also conduction current will become zero, because fully charged capacitor will offer infinite resistance to the DC current, due to which displacement current will be equal to zero. Also conduction current in the capacitor will be in the circuit will be zero, because capacitor will offer infinite resistance, infinite opposition to the flow of current, to flow of DC current. Okay, so since capacitor is being charged, due to which current is flowing through the circuit, also electric field is changing between the plates of capacitor, so displacement current is there. So displacement current will be equal to conduction current. So hence displacement current ID will be equal to I. So ID is displacement current, I is conduction current. So conduction current we have calculated, or it is given in the question, that charging current, it is conduction current that is charging the capacitor. It is given 0.15 ampere. So displacement current will be equal to the 0.15 ampere. Now C part. According to Kirchhoff's first rule, incoming current at a junction is equal to the leaving current from this junction. This is the first rule statement, junction rule statement, that if there is a current, total current entering in a particular junction must be equal to the total current leaving that junction. This is the Kirchhoff's first rule or junction rule. So when a capacitor is charging, a conduction current flows towards one plate and an equal displacement current. So displacement current is a hypothetical term, but we consider it as current. So if conduction current is entering one plate, or conduction current flows towards one plate and equal displacement current flows away from that plate. If we are considering one plate or region around one plate, so conduction current will be entering the plate, and displacement current, which is produced due to the change in electric field between the plates, will be flowing away from that plate. If we are taking positive plate, so current is entering the positive plate, and displacement current in the direction of electric field that is changing will be leaving that plate or going away from the plate. So that means current entering the junction, if we are considering junction on this plate, so current entering the junction is equal to the current leaving that junction, because during charging of capacitor, conduction current is equal to displacement current. So current entering the junction is equal to the current leaving the junction. Since displacement current is equal to the conduction current, Kirchhoff's first rule is valid at each plate of the capacitor. Okay. Now next question. A parallel plate capacitor made of circular plates, each of radius r equal to 6 cm. Again a parallel capacitor is there. Parallel plate capacitor is there having circular plates, and radius of each plate is 6 cm. That is 6 into 10 raised minus 2 meter. Has a capacitance C equal to 100 picofarad. The capacitor is connected to a 230 volt AC supply with the angular frequency of 300 radian per second. A part is, what is the RMS value of conduction current? Okay, you have to find the RMS value of conduction current. B part is the conduction current equal to displacement current in this case? Now capacitor is connected to AC supply. Will conduction current be equal to displacement current? Or C part is, determine the magnitude, maximum magnitude, or we can say amplitude of B magnetic field at a point 3 cm from the axis between the plates. Radius of the plate is 6 centimeter. So if we are considering area enclosed by these parallel plates, so it will come out to be cylindrical surface, cylindrical volume. Okay, if both plates are circular, if area enclosed by these, area between or area enclosed by these parallel plates is considered, it come out to be cylindrical. Okay, or we can say the volume enclosed by these parallel plates will be cylindrical. Okay, and we have to find the magnetic field at a distance 3 centimeter from the axis. That is, that point lies within the volume enclosed by that cylinder. So we can consider it as cylindrical wire. The volume enclosed by the parallel plates of the capacitor will be considered as cylindrical wire. So we have to find magnetic field at 3 centimeter from the axis. That is, it is inside the volume enclosed by the capacitor. So it can be considered as inside point of a conducting wire. Okay, so you have to determine the magnitude of magnetic field at, amplitude of magnetic field at that point. So I will give you some time to think about it and solve it. So again, capacitor having circular plates is given and it is connected to AC source. Now source is given in the question. So AC supply is given. So what is given in the question? Radius of each plate 6 centimeter, which is 0.06 meter. Capacitance of the plates 100 picofarad, that is 100 into 10 to the power minus 12 farad. AC supply voltage VRMS equal to 230 volt is given. So it is not mentioned which voltage is there. So it is considered as RMS voltage. So angular frequency omega equal to 300 radian per second is given. So RMS value of conduction current can be found using equation. So we know that RMS value of current is equal to VRMS upon XC according to NCERT equation 7.18. Okay, so expression between IRMS and VRMS is given. IRMS equal to VRMS upon XC. It is equivalent to I equal to V upon R according to Ohm's law. So in the case of capacitor, what is the opposition of it? XC. Okay, so IRMS equal to VRMS upon XC. VRMS is given in the question. XC, we can calculate. XC is equal to 1 upon omega C. Omega is given 300 radian per second. C is also given. So can we calculate the IRMS? So XC is capacitive reactance. XC is equal to 1 by omega C. NCERT equation 7.17. So IRMS will become VRMS into omega C. So put XC equal to 1 by omega C. So IRMS will become VRMS into omega C. So IRMS is equal to VRMS into omega C. So now put all the values. VRMS equal to 230 volt, omega equal to 300 radian per second, C equal to 100 into 10 to the power minus 12 farad. So IRMS will become 230 into 300 into 100 into 10 to the power minus 12. So after solving, IRMS came out to be 6.9 into 10 to the power minus 6 ampere, or we can write 6.9 microampere. So IRMS is equal to 6.9 microampere. Hence the RMS value of conduction current. So we have calculated the conduction current, 6.9 microampere. Now, since capacitor is connected to an AC supply, so I have mentioned already that if capacitor is charging or capacitor is connected to AC supply, in AC supply current is changing with respect to time. That means charge on the capacitor plates is changing with respect to time, and electric field that depends on the charge of the capacitor plates also changing with respect to time. Electric field between the plates of capacitor is also changing with respect to time. That give rise to displacement current. Okay, so in the case of AC supply or in the case of charging of capacitor, displacement current is equal to conduction current. So conduction current we have calculated IRMS, so it is AC current, so an effective value is being calculated. So IRMS is equal to 6.9 microampere. So displacement current will also be equal to 6.9 microampere in the case of capacitor connected to an AC source. Now C part, ID is displacement current and I is the conduction current. Magnetic field at a distance r from the axis. Now we have seen the capacitor plates. So volume enclosed by these capacitor plates. If you are connecting ends of the capacitor plate with another end of the capacitor plate, the volume enclosed by that capacitor plates will be cylindrical. Okay, so it will behave as cylindrical wire. So in Ampere circuital law, in chapter 4, moving charges and magnetism, in Ampere circuital law we have discussed what is the magnetic field inside the current carrying wire if wire has significant thickness. Okay, so it is considered as, now the volume enclosed between the plates of the capacitor is considered as current carrying wire. And which type of current? Displacement current carrying conductor. Okay, so we have asked the magnetic field at from the axis distance is 3 centimeter and radius is 6 centimeter. That means that point is inside that volume, inside that hypothetical wire. Okay, so magnetic field inside a conducting wire, expression for this is given by B equal to mu naught by 2 pi ID upon r square into r. Capital R is here radius of that wire, or here radius of capacitor plates. Okay, small r is the point, distance of the point from the axis of the wire at which magnetic field is to be found, and mu naught is magnetic permeability. According to NCERT equation 4.15, this equation has been taken from 4th chapter, that is moving charges and magnetism. So r is radius of wire, mu naught is free space permeability, which is equal to 4.10⁻⁷ Newton per ampere square. So BRMS, so we are calculating, we have used RMS current here, so we are calculating BRMS, but what we have to calculate? Amplitude, B naught. At the last we will calculate B naught or BM from the BRMS. So BRMS is equal to mu naught by 2 pi IRMS upon r square r. Since conduction current is equal to displacement current in this case, so ID can be written as conduction current IC, which is equal to IRMS here. Okay, so now calculate the BRMS from here. So putting the value of IRMS equal to 6.9 microampere, R equal to 0.06 meter and R equal to 0.03 meter. R is given 3 centimeter, so 0.03 meter. So BRMS is equal to 2 into 10⁻⁷, 6.9 into 10⁻⁶ upon 6 into 10⁻² whole square into 3 into 10⁻². So 0.06 is written as 6 into 10⁻² and 0.03 is written as 3 into 10⁻². So BRMS is equal to 1.15 into 10⁻11 Tesla. Okay, so we have calculated BRMS. Now we will calculate the B naught, amplitude of B, maximum value of B. So amplitude of magnetic field is given by B naught equal to √2 BRMS. So B naught is equal to √2 into 1.15 into 10⁻11. So B naught will be equal to 1.63 into 10⁻11 Tesla. This is the amplitude of magnetic field at a point 3 centimeter from the axis of the plates. So and amplitude of B at a point 3 centimeter from the axis between the plates of capacitor is 1.63 into 10⁻11 Tesla. Okay. So next question. What physical quantity is same for X-rays of wavelength 10 raised to power minus 10 meter, red light of wavelength 6800 angstrom. What is angstrom? 10 raised to power minus 10 meter. And radio waves of wavelength 500 meter. So X-rays are given of wavelength 10 raised to power minus 10 meter. Red light is given, that is in visible region, of wavelength 6800 angstrom, and radio waves of wavelength 500 meter is given. So what physical quantity is same for all these electromagnetic waves, different type of electromagnetic waves? So I will give you some time to think about it. So let's see the solution. In a vacuum, all electromagnetic waves. So we have discussed that speed of electromagnetic wave is same for all the electromagnetic waves. Their frequency and wavelength is different, but the product of frequency and wavelength is same, which is equal to speed of light. So in vacuum, all electromagnetic waves, regardless of their wavelength or frequency, travel at the same speed, which is approximately given by c equal to 3 into 10 raised to power 8 meter per second. Okay, so all electromagnetic waves in vacuum have same speed. So hence the physical quantity that is asked in the question. So physical quantity that is same regardless of nature of EM wave. So it doesn't depend on the nature of EM wave, whether it is gamma rays, X-rays, visible, infrared, ultraviolet, radio, or microwaves. So physical quantity that is same regardless of nature of EM wave is speed of EM waves. Okay. Next exercise 8.4. A plane electromagnetic wave travels in vacuum along z direction. So direction of propagation is given. What can you say about the directions of electric and magnetic field vectors? If the frequency of wavelength is 30 megahertz, means 30 into 10 to the power 6 hertz, what is its wavelength? Okay, so I will give you some time to solve it. So you can write your answers in comment section. Those who are writing are appreciated. In a plane electromagnetic wave traveling in a vacuum, the electric field vector E and magnetic field vector B are always perpendicular to each other. So we have discussed that electric field, magnetic field vector, and direction of propagation, all these three things are mutually perpendicular to each other. So electric field is perpendicular to magnetic field, and both electric field and magnetic field are perpendicular to the direction of propagation of wave, in which wave is moving. So E and B are also perpendicular to the direction of propagation. Direction of propagation of planar EM wave is given by the direction of cross product. So we have also discussed that direction. How can we find the direction of propagation? Directions of electric field and magnetic field. Okay. So E vector cross B vector. Sorry, E cap cross B cap. So you can take cross product of E and B directly also. It will also give the direction, but it will give the magnitude also. Okay, so we have to take direction, cross product of directions to find the direction only. So if we are interested in finding the direction of propagation, we have to take the cross product of directions of electric and magnetic field. So direction of electric field is represented by unit vector E cap, and direction of magnetic field is represented by unit vector B cap. So E cap cross B cap will give the direction of propagation. So given that the wave is traveling in z direction, so we know that wave is traveling in z direction. That means, because both magnetic field and electric field, they are perpendicular to direction of propagation, so they should be in xy plane. Okay, if E and B both are in xy plane, that means they are perpendicular to the direction of propagation. Only this is the case. So if wave is traveling in z direction, E and B, electric field and magnetic field, should lie in xy plane and are mutually perpendicular to each other. Okay, so it is not necessary that electric field should be in x along the x-axis and magnetic field is along the y-axis. They can be in any direction in xy plane, but they are mutually perpendicular to each other. Okay, so direction can be found using E cap cross B cap, and direction of propagation is perpendicular to the both electric and magnetic field. So since wave is traveling along z direction, so E and B should lie in xy plane, but it is not necessary that E should lie along the x-axis and B should lie along the y-axis. It is not necessary. They can lie in any direction in the xy plane, but they must be perpendicular to each other and perpendicular to the direction of propagation. So now we will calculate the wavelength. So to find the wavelength, lambda of the wave, we can use the relationship between the speed of light c, frequency f, and wavelength lambda. We know that nu is equal to c is equal to nu lambda. Okay, or we can use f at the place of nu also. For frequency, nu and f both can be used interchangeably. Okay, both symbols represent the frequency. Okay, so from here c will be equal to f lambda. This is the relation between frequency, speed of light, and wavelength. So c equal to f lambda. So what is given? Nu is given, or we can say f is given, 30 megahertz, 13 to 10 to the power 6 hertz. Okay, c is, we know that. What is c? Speed of light in vacuum, that is equal to 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. Now put the value of c and f in the expression and find lambda. So substituting the values, lambda is equal to 3 into 10 to the power 8 upon 13 to 10 to the power 6, which is equal to 1 upon 10 into 10 to the power 2. So lambda came out to be, so lambda is equal to 1 upon 10 into 10 to the power 2. So lambda is equal to 10 meters. Okay, so hence wavelength of the given wave is 10 meter. Next question, a radio can tune into any station in the 7.5 megahertz to 12 megahertz band. Okay, so we can tune a radio. A radio can tune into any station in which range, range of frequency, in which band of frequency. It is 7.5 megahertz to 12 megahertz. What is the corresponding wavelength band? So you have to find the corresponding wavelengths. So wavelength correspond to 7.5 megahertz and wavelength corresponding to 12 megahertz. Then you will find the band of wavelength or range of wavelengths. Okay. So frequency band is given. A radio can tune into any station in this frequency band. You have to find the wavelength band corresponding to that frequency band. So you have to find the frequency corresponding to 7.5 megahertz. Then you have to find the wavelength corresponding to 12 megahertz. Then you will find the range of wavelength. Okay. So I will give you some time to think about it. So let given frequencies nu1 and nu2. So these nu1 is 7.5 megahertz, nu2 is 12 megahertz. Then wavelength corresponding to these frequencies you can consider lambda 1 and lambda 2. Using relation C equal to V lambda, nu lambda. So lambda 1 will be equal to, so using this relation C equal to nu lambda. So lambda 1 will be equal to C by C is same. Okay, speed of electromagnetic wave will not change. Okay, only we are going to calculate the wavelength corresponding to the frequency. So lambda 1 will be equal to C upon nu 1 and lambda 2 will be equal to C upon nu 2. So lambda 1, put the value of C, which is 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second, upon what is nu 1 given, 7.5 megahertz. That means 7.5 into 10 to the power 6. So lambda 1 will be equal to 300 upon 7.5 after solving it. So lambda 1 will be equal to 40 meter. So wavelength corresponding to 7.5 megahertz came out to be 40 meter. Now lambda 2 can be calculated. So lambda 2 will be equal to C upon nu 2. So lambda 2 will be equal to 3 into 10 to the power 8 upon 12 into 10 to the power 6. So nu 2 is given 12 megahertz. Okay. So lambda 2 will be equal to 300 upon 12. So lambda 2 will be equal to 25 meter. Okay. So wavelength corresponding to 12 megahertz frequency came out to be 25 meter. So band of wavelength came out to be 25 meter to 40 meter. So hence corresponding wavelength band will be from 25 meter to 40 meter. Okay. Next question. A charged particle oscillates about its mean equilibrium position with the frequency of 10 to the power 9 hertz. What is the frequency of the electromagnetic waves produced by the oscillator? Okay, so charged particle is oscillating and frequency of its oscillation is given. So the electromagnetic waves are producing by these oscillations. So what is the frequency of electromagnetic wave produced by the oscillator? So I will give you some time to think about it. The frequency of an electromagnetic wave produced by the oscillator is same as that of charged particle oscillating about its mean position. Okay, if the charged particle is oscillating with the frequency 10 to the power 9 hertz, okay, it is producing the electromagnetic waves. So the frequency of the electromagnetic wave produced by the oscillator will be same as the frequency of the oscillating charge particle. Okay, frequency of the electromagnetic waves produced by the oscillator will be same. That is 10 to the power 9 hertz. Okay, because it is accelerating. Oscillating charge means accelerating charge particle. So it will produce the magnetic field. Okay, also it will produce time varying electric field. So the frequency of electric field and magnetic field, due to its oscillation, their frequency will be same as the oscillation, due to which frequency of the electromagnetic wave will be same, that is 10 to the power 9 hertz. Next question, exercise 8.7. The amplitude of the magnetic field part of a harmonic electromagnetic wave in vacuum is B naught equal to 510 nanotesla. Okay, so amplitude of magnetic field is given, that is 510 nanotesla. What is the amplitude of the electric field part of the wave? So you have to find the E naught. So I will give you some time to think about it. So what is given in the question? Amplitude of magnetic field B naught 510 nanotesla is given. Okay, so 510 into 10 to the power minus 9 Tesla. So speed of the light in vacuum is given. It is also known. If it is not given in the question, you know the value of speed of light in vacuum. So that is 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. We know that the relation between E naught, B naught and C, relation between amplitude of electric field, magnetic field and speed of light, we have discussed in theory lecture. So amplitude of electric field of electromagnetic wave is given by the relation B naught equal to E naught upon C. I mentioned that amplitude of magnetic field is very small as compared to electric field. Okay, electric field vector is also known as light vector. So most of the interaction that electromagnetic wave is doing with the matter is due to the electric field vector, because magnitude of magnetic field vector is very small. You can see B naught is given in nanoteslas. That means 10 to the power minus 9 Tesla, which is very small value. Okay, as compared to the electric field amplitude. So B naught is equal to E naught upon C according to NCERT equation 8.10. So E naught will be equal to C B naught. So C we know, B naught is given in the question. So we can find the E naught. E naught is equal to 3 into 10 to the power 8 into 510 into 10 to the power minus 9. So E naught will be equal to 153 Newton per Coulomb. Okay. Therefore, amplitude of the electric field of wave is 153 Newton per Coulomb. Next question. Suppose that the electric field amplitude of an electromagnetic wave is E naught equal to 120 Newton per Coulomb, and that its frequency is nu equal to 50 megahertz. Okay, E naught is given, frequency is given. Determine B naught, omega, K and lambda. So you have to calculate wave number K, you have to calculate omega, you have to calculate B naught and lambda. So nu is given, we can calculate omega. E naught is given, we can calculate B naught. K is 2 pi upon lambda. Okay, so nu is given, lambda can be calculated, and K, if we calculate the lambda, K can be calculated. Okay, and B part is find expression for E and B. Okay, so I will give you some time to think about it. So what is given in the question? E naught is given and speed of light we know. C equal to 3 into 10 raised by 8 meter per second, and frequency of source is given nu equal to 50 megahertz, that is 50 into 10 raised by 6 hertz. Speed of light 3 into 10 raised by 8 meter per second. So A part. So magnitude of magnetic field strength is given as B naught equal to E naught upon C. This is the relation between amplitude of magnetic field and amplitude of electric field according to NCERT equation 8.10. Okay, so you have to attend the theory lectures if you don't know this expression. So E naught is given. B naught is equal to 120 upon 3 into 10 raised by 8 meter per second. So B naught is equal to 4 into 10 raised by minus 7 Tesla. We have calculated B naught, which is 400 into 400 nanotesla. We can write 4 into 10 raised by minus 7 Tesla into 400 nanotesla. Okay, or it is not necessary to convert it into nanotesla if it is not asked. You can write it in scientific form also. So angular frequency of source is given as omega equal to 2 pi nu. Nu is given, so we can calculate omega. Omega is equal to 2 pi into 50 into 10 raised by 6 after putting the value of nu and pi. So omega is equal to 3.14 into 10 raised by 8 radian per second. Okay, now magnitude of propagation vector k is given as, so that is propagation vector k, and magnitude of this propagation vector is known as wave number, which is k equal to omega by c. Okay, so according to NCERT equation 8.9a, so k, after putting the value of omega and c, k is equal to 3.14 into 10 raised by 8 upon 3 into 10 raised by 8. So k is equal to 3.14 into 10 raised by 8 upon 3 into 10 raised by 8. After solving it, k come out to be 1.05 radian per meter. So wavelength of wave is given as lambda equal to c upon nu. Okay, we know that c equal to nu lambda. So lambda is equal to c upon nu. NCERT equation 8.9b. So lambda is equal to, after putting the value of c and v, 3 into 10 raised by 8 upon 15 into 10 raised by 6. So lambda came out to be 6 meter. Now b part, we have to find the expression of E and B. But the direction of propagation is not given in the question. How can we find the expression of E and B if direction of propagation is not given? So we'll take the arbitrary direction, any direction. Okay, so suppose the wave is propagating in positive x-axis. So we'll take the positive x-axis as the direction of propagation of wave. Direction of propagation of planar EM wave is given by the direction of cross product. Now we will do again same thing that we have discussed in our one of the previous questions. Okay, that we can find the direction of propagation by cross product of direction of electric field and magnetic field, that is E cap cross B cap. So direction of propagation of planar EM wave is given by the direction of cross product, that is E cap cross B cap. This means the electric field vector can be taken along y-axis. Okay, now we will fix the axis, but it is not necessary that electric field vector should be in y-axis, should be along y-axis, or magnetic field vector must be taken along z-axis. So it is not necessary. They can be in zy plane, or we can say yz plane, but it is not necessary the electric field vector must be in along y-axis, or magnetic field vector must be along z-axis. They both should be in yz plane, but their direction is not specific if it is not given. Okay, so we are taking some arbitrary direction. So we are taking electric field vector to be along y-axis and magnetic field vector to be along z-axis. This is because all the three vectors are mutually perpendicular. So we have taken the direction of propagation along x-axis. Okay, so x-axis means I cap. So direction of propagation came out to be I cap. Which two univectors are taken into account for cross product, that it will give I cap. So E cap cross B cap equal to I cap. Means according to cyclic property, we have to do J cross K. Okay, so electric field vector will be along J cap, means Y axis, and magnetic field vector will be along Z axis, that is K cap. So E along Y axis and B along Z axis, such that Y cap cross J cap will be equal to I cap. Equation of electric field vector can be given as, now equation of electric field vector, that Y cap is representing unit vector along Y axis, that is also represented by J cap, and Z cap is representing unit vector along the Z axis, that is also represented as K cap. So electric field vector is along Y axis, so E will be equal to E naught sine, this is the equation for electric field, E naught sine kx minus omega t, and direction is J cap. Now put the value, we have calculated the value of K and omega and also E naught. Put this value in the equation. Putting the value of E naught equal to 120 Newton per Coulomb, K value of K and omega in the expression of E. So E will become 120 sine 1.05 x minus 3.14 into 10 power 8 T J cap Newton per Coulomb after putting all the values. So, and magnetic field vector can be given as B equal to B naught sine kx minus omega t K cap. By putting B naught equal to 4 into 10 power minus 7 Tesla and value of K and omega in the expression of B. So B is equal to 4 into 10 power minus 7 sine, at the place of K it is 1.05 x minus omega is 3.14 into 10 power 8 T K cap Tesla. This is the expression for B along with direction, that is K cap. Next question, the terminology of different parts of electromagnetic spectrum is given in the text. Use the formula E equal to h nu and obtain the photon energy in units of electron volt for different parts of electromagnetic spectrum. In what way are the different scales of photon energies that you obtain related to the source of electromagnetic radiations? Okay, so you have to calculate the energy by using this relation h equal to nu, or you can write at the place of nu c by lambda, so h c by lambda. So by putting h and c, you can find the expression, and after putting the wavelengths from every part of the spectrum, you can find the energies of every part of spectrum, and you have to compare them. Okay, or in what way are the different scales of photon energies that you obtain related to the sources of electromagnetic radiation. Okay, so let's see the solution. Energy of photon is given as E equal to h nu, which is hc by lambda. So now put the value of hc, where h is Planck's constant 6.6 into 10 power minus 34 joule second, or c is speed of light 3 into 10 power 8 meter per second. Lambda is wavelength of radiation. So E will be equal to 6.6 into 10 power minus 34 into 3 into 10 power 8 upon lambda. Okay, so E will be equal to 6.6 into 10 power minus 34 into 3 into 10 power 8 upon lambda, which is equal to 19.8 into 10 power minus 26 upon lambda joule. Okay, now we have to convert it into electron volt. So what is electron volt? 1 electron volt is equal to 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 joule. Therefore 1 joule will be equal to 1 upon 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 electron volt. So 1 joule will be converted into electron volt by dividing it to 1.6 into 10 power minus 19. So we'll divide the energy with the 1.6 into 10 power minus 19. Okay, so it will convert it to electron volt. So electric field will, energy will be equal to 12.375 into 10 power minus 7 electron volt. Okay, and lambda. Now we will put the lambda value according to the electromagnetic spectrum. The given table lists the photon energies for different parts of electromagnetic spectrum for different lambda. Now, from the different parts of spectrum, lambda is taken as 10 to the power 3, 1, 10 to the power minus 3, 10 to the power minus 6 from different region, from infrared region, from microwave region, from radio waves, from visible, from ultraviolet, from different regions. These wavelengths are taken. So 10 to the power minus 6, 10 to the power minus 8, 10 to the power minus 10, and 10 to the power minus 12. And corresponding energies can be calculated. Okay, the photon energies for different parts of spectrum of a source indicating the spacing of relevant energy levels of the source. Okay, so what that line means, that energy levels in atomic level or nuclear level. Okay, nuclear level energy levels we will discuss in nuclei chapter, and atomic level energy levels, you know, in the hydrogen atom energy levels, ground level energy, first orbit, second orbit energy level, ठीक है, that orbits. Okay, so it represents the spacing between the energy levels. So if the space between the energy levels is more, then energy released will be more. So for example, lambda equal to 10 to the power minus 12 corresponds to photon energy 1.24 mega electron volt. And this indicates that nuclear energy level transition between which. So at nuclear energy level, there is an excited nuclei. Okay, in the radioactive decay, there is a excited nuclei. It will come to ground state by emitting the gamma rays. Okay, so it causes gamma ray emission, which are typically spaced by, so that these energy levels, excited nuclei energy level or ground level and nuclear energy level, they are separated by energy difference of 1 mega electron volt. That's why they are causing gamma ray emission. Similarly, visible wavelength. So in atomic energy levels, when one electron comes from one energy level to another energy level in hydrogen atom, so there is a Balmer series. Okay, so due to which visible region is given according to Balmer region in the hydrogen spectra. A visible wavelength lambda equal to 5 into 10 to the power minus 7 meter correspond to photon energy 2.5 electron volt, which is very small as compared to 1 mega electron volt. So this photon energy lies in the visible region. So this implies that atomic energy level transition between which, so transition between these atomic energy levels gives the visible radiation are typically spaced by a few electron volts. Okay, so energy levels that are spaced, or the difference of energies between these energy levels are very, very small, of order of few electron volts, they will give the visible radiations. So question: in a plane electromagnetic wave, the electric field oscillates sinusoidally at a frequency of 2 into 10 to the power 10 hertz and amplitude 48 volt per meter. What is the wavelength of the wave? What is the amplitude of oscillating magnetic field? And show that the average energy density of the electric field E field equals the average energy density of B field. C is equal to 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. So what is given in the question? Frequency of the electromagnetic wave nu is given. Electric field amplitude is given, E naught equal to 48 volt per meter. Wavelength of a wave is given by lambda equal to C upon V. After putting the value of C and V, you will get lambda, which is equal to 0.015 meter. Wavelength of the wave is 0.015 meter. Magnetic field strength is given as B naught equal to E naught upon C. Okay, E naught is given in the question, 48 volt per meter, and C we know the value of C. So B naught will be equal to 48.3 into 10 to the power 8. So B naught is 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 7 Tesla. Okay, amplitude of the oscillating magnetic field is B naught equal to 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 7 Tesla. Now energy density of the electric field is given as UE, which is given as half epsilon naught E square. Okay, so this is not given in your NCERT, but we have discussed about it in our second lecture of this chapter. So energy density of the magnetic field is also given as UB equal to B square upon 2 mu naught, where epsilon naught is the permittivity of free space and mu naught is permeability of free space. Now for planar, E and B are in phase and strength of electric field and magnetic field are related as E equal to CB according to NCERT equation 8.10, where C is equal to 1 upon root epsilon naught mu naught. Okay, then E becomes E equal to 1 by root epsilon naught mu naught into B. Okay, so this is the expression for E. Squaring on both sides, E square will be equal to B square upon epsilon naught mu naught. So after rearranging this equation, epsilon naught E square will be equal to B square upon mu naught. After multiplying both sides by half, so multiplying both sides by half epsilon naught E square will be equal to B square upon 2 mu naught. So half epsilon naught E square is energy density associated with electric field, and B square upon 2 mu naught is an energy density associated with magnetic field. So it is equal. We have proved it. So hence the average energy density of electric field equals the average energy density of magnetic field. That is asked in the question. Okay. So thank you. This is all about today's lecture of NCERT exercise of chapter electromagnetic waves. So I hope you understood it well. Thank you.